So, we have been way busy, and I am trying not to fall behind on vlogs and keep them up daily, but we've just been busy. And as you can see beforehand, we had one where the conversation ended up longer, so I had to make it into two. And so, yeah. Oh, I am so tired today. So, we didn't film the rest of that day because it wasn't as long as I expected. So I had started something Friday. We had Anthony's friend Cody over, and he's looking for WRX, and for once I might have actually gotten that right. But this dealership had one, and in the midst of Anthony questioning how much this was, if this was the only one, you know, blah blah blah, he found a vehicle he liked. Mind you, this is the same guy who made fun of me for picking my car off the bat from online. So I just thought it was funny. So he sent it over to me, mind you, still sitting across the room from me, and I was like, I did not yawn for the last hour, and now all of a sudden all I can do is yawn. Anyway, so he sent it to me in Messenger. I looked it up and I was like, is that really what you want? Because he keeps saying I owe him a car, and we had to have a discussion about how that was coming off, because we bought the blue car because he wanted the blue car. I was real hesitant. We did need something, but the fact that we don't know how to drive a stick at the time was what had me so hesitant. But I was like, okay, you need to stop saying that, or I'm just gonna tell you no, if you're gonna act like a butthead. So I if I could stop yawning. Sorry if it's all like cut up, because I don't think you guys want to sit here and watch me yawn. Anyway, so we're doing that, and I make sure this is 100% what he wants. He says, yes, look at the gas mileage, 40 plus. It's a Ford Fusion hybrid. Okay. And we're kind of discussing it. He gets a call about the car Cody was kind of looking at. It's, I guess, his dream car, and that's the one he really would like. Well, so someone else calls from, so there's two dealerships. They are connected. One's just higher up on the hill in Hermiston. And so she calls, and then she starts looking. Anthony has used my cell phone number, and he really needs to stop doing that. So I, in the meantime, see where I can offer them money. I see how much they want. I get into the screen to offer them money, and I have to ask Anthony, because now at this point I have forgotten. What did they want originally? So he tells me, and I was like, I just started hitting buttons. A little over, I offered him like $1,500 less, I think. Don't quote me, because I'm not too sure on that one. But I do offer them less. And so they counter offered, so this is Friday night, they counter offered Saturday fairly early. And I was like, they're on the ball. And mind you, everything is being done backwards. I've already gotten my loan. I already know what I can spend, what the bank is willing to buy. Or what is it, finance? Nothing under 2010. Nothing over, I think he said 123,000 miles. Fine, the less miles, the better. So I've looked at a couple. Anthony is a no-go on the ones I like. They are more spendy and way newer, like a year or two older. But it wasn't drastically, it wasn't like, 23,000, 30,000 kind of situation, the ones I was looking at. And so I was like, okay. And I'm showing him the ones I've looked at. Yeah, he's not really that interested. I was like, okay. And so then I call because I had sent over an email saying I'd like the Carfax on this. And so he went ahead and I called and I said, I sent you an email, can you please send me the Carfax on this? And he said yes. And then I let him go, and we went from there. And so I got it, I checked it. It's running really good, or it has really good Carfax. The only issue is airbag needs to be replaced, which will be done for free. And it just doesn't, something about the inflator in it or something. So we're going to have that done. I'm going to have an inspection on it. Fluids changed. I don't know when the last time they were done. This wasn't as is, which that made me hesitant. But it's not my vehicle. It's not the one I have to drive. We're talking, a hybrid would be really good to drive to Portland. And so I was like, that makes sense. I get really good gas mileage. We travel roughly 300 miles. And I use about half a tank. A little under half. Or sorry, a little over half. And so I feel like in my car, that's really good gas mileage. It's not an electric, so, those beat that. And I don't want an electric. So, I, can't. Anyway, so we go and we look. Sorry, that was actually the guy from the dealership. I spaced. We have vet plates. Those vet plates need to now go onto Anthony's car. I spaced it until Monday. I picked up the car Sunday. Yeah, real smart. And so he was checking in with us, and I sent Monday first thing. I was like, hey, I forgot this has, the car we have currently that he's been driving has vet plates, and we need those vet plates to go to the Ford Fusion. And he goes, okay, shouldn't be an issue. Send me registration picture and plates. And I said, okay. And so he just asked if it had been, how did he put it? Did he say totaled? Yeah, totaled. And so I was like, no, I can send you pictures if you need them. There's nothing wrong with the blue one except for it needs to have work done. It's just not, I don't know. We're talking about fixing it up and that being Lexi's, because I don't see anything wrong with that kid learning how to drive a stick. Anyway, so we do everything backwards, blah, blah, blah. I've already gotten the loan Friday. I already know it's approved. It got approved within hours. And so then Friday night, he found the one he liked. I offered $1,500 less. They counter offered with a weird amount and then dropped like $4 more off. Doesn't bother me. I was like, for hybrid, I'm going to take that. Because we ran this and the condition it's in, and it's in good condition, it's worth $22,000. And yes, it is a base model. It does have the Bluetooth. I do want to put a backup camera in it. I will probably do like I did mine and do the backup camera in the rearview mirror because there's nowhere else to put it. He's got this thing on the dashboard that opens up. You click it and it like opens up on the dash. He was like, wouldn't it be cool if we could put it in there? Well, that's probably going to be a lot of work kind of situation. But I need to figure out what needs to be done with that exactly. So and I just find it so weird. But Saturday they called us back in total of 3 days. And I didn't really count text messages or anything. We had 6 phone calls maybe. Sunday picked up the car. Saturday we had plans. We tried to get everything done as quickly as possible. So right in the middle of the movie I got a text message saying that we were good to go, everything is done. And so I called because we were seeing the new Avengers, and so it was a 3-hour movie. So at 5 o'clock we were done. They had already closed, but I had touched base with him and told him I would be indisposed until 5 o'clock. He sent me the text message probably about 3. And so I called him after we got out of the movies. He goes, okay, I don't work tomorrow, but I will come up for you guys. Just let me know. And so the next day that night I ended up in the hospital. And so I sent him that, and then I forgot Xander was going to see Avengers with his friend. And so we had to wait for them to pick him up, which was 11:30-ish. We took off from there. I had half a tank of gas, so I knew I didn't need to gas up or anything. And actually, I used the most, like, minuscule, my thing didn't really even move. And even coming back, I might have used a quarter of a tank. And so we drove there. The kids had no idea. We made Connor and Lex go with us. Had no clue whatsoever why we were there or where we were going or blah blah blah. And so we ended up going, and then we all had lunch, and then we headed back, and we beat Xander by like 45 minutes. So that all worked out. But we were at that dealership. We sat and talked. So we were there maybe 45 minutes, and that is like way on the high end. I think with us talking, we probably talked 10-15 minutes, and then he went, got the paperwork, and it was sign here, sign here, sign here, sign here. And it was funny. Anthony's signed areas were highlighted in green, mine were in pink, and the best part of it all is my name's first on his. I tease him. I was like, it's my car. And so I parked next to him yesterday because I wanted to talk to him, because we had dealings with, we had Bank of America. It was overdrawn by 14 cents. Mind you, Mom has been gone for a really long time. This year will make 9 years. And so, we had Bank of America. I don't even know if Connor was born yet. So that tells you how long, because he just turned 14. We overdrew at 14 cents, and then they can put like $35, $37 fee on there 3 times a day for however long. Well, it's now $547.14. And I was like, really? I have no problem paying it. It's just part of the things I need to gather up together to pay. And so, got a call from one number. They said to call this number, and I don't know why I was married when we got that bank account. So they've got the wrong name entirely, because I never had one in California. Anyway, and so I corrected them on the name, and then so I called the next number, and something about litigation, and I said, okay, but she goes, you should have received something recently. I was like, honestly, I haven't, because I haven't. She, at that point, was okay. She was coming off really nice, and I have her on speakerphone. Joni was here for this conversation. Well, it didn't stay nice for very long, because she was like, we need this paid today. And I was like, it's not going to get paid today. I told her I'm disabled. It's going to take a couple of months. This will be added to it, and then it will be paid off. Well, that's when like everything shifted. We did find out it's going to an address where I've never lived. I've never lived in the state of Washington. This was a Washington address. I was like, no, I don't even know who lives there. Do I know any? I know people who live in Walla Walla, but it's not on that street even. And so she goes, okay, I can pull this from going to litigation. And then she starts talking over me, and she doesn't want to listen to me. And then she got real condescending. Wanted to know how I paid my bills, and said, that's fine, we'll just garnish your husband's wages. And I'm like, okay, no big deal. It's a $400 bill, but it doesn't need to come to that. I'm willing to pay it, and I can keep you in the loop, because we have another company. Things 2 years ago, about this time, just went to poop. Like $0. We couldn't pay anything. We are now playing catch up. Obviously, if we can get 2 car loans, we've gotten somewhere. It's slowly getting paid off. It's me remembering where I got everything from also. Oh, I was like, I can hear Bagheera snoring over there. And so, I'm trying to gather all of these. There's one, it's on my phone, can't be lost. I have his name, I have his number. He said, I'll give you a call in 90 days. I was like, works for me, and then I'll know more then. And yes, when I go to pay off these bills, I'm going to offer less and see if we can, play some hardball and get these paid off, because I do want them paid off. And if there's some that I can't, but most time collection agencies have no problem doing that. I just don't want to pay payments and have the bill, because I think that's what this one did. She was like, well, I can do a hardship. And she goes, I told her how much. And she's like, oh, that's really nice. That's so nice. And I was like, wow, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And I was like, that was really uncalled for. And Joni is just like, wow, like jaw on the floor. And so at this point, she just starts talking over me. I said, can you please send me something? She's just running her mouth at this point, after I asked for something to be sent to me. And I said, can you send me something? And she got real snotty. And something was said. Then she wanted to know how I paid rent. And all of this stuff. And after threatening to go after Anthony. And then, what was the next thing? This conversation did not last long, and it went from 0 to 60, and I stayed calm. Oh, I stayed calm. For once in my life, I was like, kind of blindsided, so I couldn't get angry until I had hung up the phone. But she says something about, oh, I gave her my address. She finally stops, and I said, could you please send me something? And she's like, yeah, what's the address? And I give her my address, and she goes, oh, good. Oh, there's probably a mortgage. And I was like, I don't know if there's a mortgage on this house. And she goes, you know what? We'll just go to litigation, and hung up on me. I don't know if there's a mortgage on this house. This house isn't mine. She didn't ask if I owned a house. And I would have been honest. No, I don't own a house. I told you I paid rent. So how do you go from paying rent to a mortgage? So, unless I pay the $70 a month until it's paid off, I think it's like 8 months or something, and $70 was high end. It was like 73 or 63. They're just gonna go to litigation. I was just like, and then Johnny's like, because you hear click, click. Hold on. I think something got confused because he was like, the DMV won't let you take plates from a totaled vehicle. Well, my car isn't totaled. Anyway, so she says, did she just hang up because you can hear the click click? And I hang up, and I was like, really? That was real professional. The call only lasted 10 minutes, and I was trying to get it, so I called back, and I was pretty sure I got her again, and I just hung up. So I called the first number, and I said, hey, look. And she was like, well, we need to speak to. And I was like, okay. And that's where it got confusing. Like, I called in, and they're like, well, she needs to call us. And I was like, yeah? And it's actually on me. And I was like, so what is it you need from me? And, well, we need her to call. Yeah, that's me. So, and it's not that last name, it's my last name. And I was just like really confused, because no matter how many times I said, yeah, that isn't my name anymore, because that was Joni's first question was, you haven't been that in years. And I was like, no. She goes, did you apply for a card under that name? I was like, no, because I think that's considered fraud. And so I was like, I'm not going to, do something fraudulent by using my maiden last name. And I was just like, okay. Yeah. So it took us like 3 minutes just for her to understand that is me. And no matter how many times I said, yes, me, Taylor. And then she was like, well, I see you're married. And that's when she had threatened to go after Anthony. And I was like, How did you not understand that when my last name didn't match up, but then you argued with me when I said the name you called me by was not my name. This is my actual name. So I ended up calling the first number that called me to tell me to call that number, and I said, could you please have someone else call me? Do not have her call me. The next girl was way nicer, apologized, the whole nine. I was just like, that is ridiculous. So that sums up just a few days. I feel like I've talked your guys' ear off, so I'm gonna let you go. But, so, end of the story, not that we're trying to hide it or anything, Anthony got a new car. He chose to get this car, so he can no longer say that I owe him a car. And I keep telling him that. Oh, so I went to talk to Anthony after that phone call. And I backed in because I'm the cool one with the backup camera. And I was like, hey, this is what happened. This is why I was irritated. I told him I redid my review for the Dodge dealership because I contacted the owner of it and there was no contact back. And Friday will mark 4 weeks since I made contact with the representative I was using as a go-between, and I still have a broken camera in my car. So it works when it feels like it. Sometimes I can go a good few days, but then all of a sudden, one time out of that day, it will go down and be black. So, I was telling him about this, and he said something. Oh, he went to go put his lunch pail into his car because he forgot his phone in the office. And I was like, don't touch my car. Neither one of them. And he laughed, and Jody said, he goes, that's not your car. And I was like, yes, it is. I forgot this is how it went. Yes, it is. My name's first. You know, flipping him some crap. He's like, oh. And she goes, well, then shouldn't you get out of this car because it's his car because his name's first? I was like, I looked at him, my eyes got like this big. I was like, I'm sorry. Don't make me. Because though it's a nice car, don't get me wrong, I don't like the way his seats feel. Like, they're uncomfortable. Like, they come out. So here's the side, you know, between the two seats. And it, like, curves. It, like, curves drastically and feels like it's this wide. And I'm like, I don't know that I could sit in these seats for 4 hours to go to Portland. We might still be taking mine. And so he started laughing at me. He's like, really? I was like, I'm sorry. I like my car. Anyway, so I will let you guys go. And we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, and I threw out there full tank of gas because we were also driving like a little over an hour to get to this. Sorry, I already said I was going to let you go, but that's a lie. And so he was like, yeah? And I was like, and if you guys have watched the vlogs about my car, that part of it was a fiasco. And so he was like, yeah, any good dealership will give you a full tank of gas when you buy a vehicle.